Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time it is when you're watching this, I'm delighted to connect with you. And welcome to our Design Thinking for Digital Transformation program. I'm Evonne Miller. I'm the director of the QUT Design Lab and professor of design psychology. And along with my colleague Levi, who's a senior lecturer in industrial design, we'll be the key in-person trainers for this activity, and will be supported by a wonderful team, all from QUT, Queensland University of Technology, and the School of Design there. The wonderful head of school, Professor Lisa Scharoun, whose background is in visual communication with a focus on culture. Dr. Rezayan, whose focus is on interaction design. The lovely Dr. Abbe Winter, who's focused on organisational change, and Jessica O'Brien, who's completing her PhD at the moment on design and psychology and is a clinical psychologist by background. Together, we'll be sharing our insights and our knowledge, and we'll be taking you on this journey as you start to realise the potential of design thinking, creativity and innovation for solving some of those critical challenges that you face in your organisation. Now, in brief, the value of design thinking is it offers this really, really flexible yet structured process for creativity and innovation. It helps generate innovative and critically user-centered solutions that are both practical and impactful. The argument, as John Calco has written in an article in the Harvard Business Review, is that there's a realization that many of our products and services and processes are quite complex, and we need help to help people deal with these levels of complexity. And people need their interactions with technologies and other complex systems to be more intuitive and more pleasurable and just simply easier. And if we can apply a design thinking approach, then we can actually redesign the experience so it works better. And it doesn't matter what the problem is. A design thinking approach enables us to come up with creative, impactful, and workable solutions that will improve our service delivery. And we need design thinking because we're living in, and I'm sure you've heard this analogy or this acronym before, we're living in a VUCA world, one that's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, okay? And design thinking thrives here because it gives us a framework to figure out how we're going to respond to this rapidly changing, unpredictable, and complex environment, always remembering that when we design a solution, we're designing for and with humans. And so we need to think about the people and put people first. And then when we do that, our solutions will be more likely to be impactful. So we want this experience to be a transformative learning experience. That is, we want you to be different after having gone through this experience than you are now. And it was Mesereau who wrote about this notion of transformative learning. And he was talking about when you go to university, particularly as an older student, after you completed your studies, you are transformed, you're a different person. And that's what we want you to have here, is to be transformed. Right now, you might have a limited knowledge of design thinking, and you might be unsure or worried about how this might fit into your day-to-day work. And what we want to do is take you by your hand and basically walk through how to do this, okay? And our aim is at the end of this immersive experience, you'll be a different person. You'll be a design thinker, and you'll be an advocate for using design thinking to solve and tackle some of the pressing problems you have in the workplace. I love this quote by Alvin Toffler, and it's over 30 or 40 years ago now. He wrote that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. The illiterate the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And that's a powerful reminder that we need to be open-minded and approach this learning experience with that open mind and realize that we're going to have to learn some new things. We're going to have to drop some old beliefs, and that's a critical component of learning. And so to get the most out of this course, I'd like to request 3 things. First, that you be open-minded and curious, okay? Design thinking is going to challenge some of your assumptions, and it requires a willingness to step outside your comfort zone. So I'd like you to embrace that. Of course, I want to encourage you to be collaborative, to engage actively with us as your teaching team, to engage with your peers, to share ideas, to reach out to mentors, and to really embrace teamwork, because that is really critical. And to be willing to fail and to iterate, to refine your ideas through feedback and through trial and error. This iteration helps you learn from mistakes, and that's what's needed as we learn to do things differently. Now, here is some of the phases of becoming a different you, which is what this transformative experience is about. And Jack Mezirow argues that for transformative learning to occur, we have to reflect on who we are, our values, and our beliefs. And as a process of that, we recognize that we can be in a different way. And this can occur gradually over time through intentional reflection as we explore and try out new ways of being in the world, and we build confidence for this new identity. And so I'm asking you that during this learning experience, you start to experiment with putting on this new identity of being a design thinker. And not only are you a design thinker, you are a change agent, because it is our job and the roles that we have to lead transformational innovation. And we know that this transition, it's not easy. And that's why you're in this course, to try and come up with some tools and some processes and some techniques that will help enable you to lead transformative innovation. Now, Denning famously explained, let me read this: transformational innovation entails a transition from a mode of operating that is known and secure to one that is unknown and potentially chaotic. Transformational innovation requires offering and doing something fundamentally different, a metamorphosis that most organizations don't excel at. Such a shift will never be easy, because it puts in question existing strategies, existing jobs, existing careers, existing processes, brands, customers, and culture. That's the challenge of change. It's not easy, but it is our job to facilitate that kind of change. And this is where design thinking is really critical, because it gives us that process to overhaul and rethink current practices and to move from being sort of a traditional bureaucratic model to being one that's more agile, one that's very much citizen or user centric, and one that enables engagement and connections through technology. We're going to need a community to make this change happen. So you need each other, you need your coaches, your mentors, your sponsors. And I want you to really think about how you might set up a community of practice, both with each other and in your workplaces. Because for us to embark on this change, we really need a team, and we need to really foster a culture of experimentation. And that's going to require that kind of support and mentoring as we step from what we know now into this unknown future. So as we talk through this course, we're going to give you a lot of information and theories and concepts, and many will be repeated across different content and in different ways, because they matter and they're important. Okay, we're going to talk a lot about design thinking, which in essence is a structured approach to problem solving and to innovation. We're going to talk about participatory co-design, designing with, not for, end users, and the importance of empathy and putting ourselves in the shoes of end users, and therefore designing solutions that actually will work and solve a real problem. We're going to talk a lot about psychological safety. This is about creating a safe space for innovation to happen in your workplace. So clearing those blocks to innovation and fostering connection and collaboration inside your organization. Of course, we're going to focus on inclusion and important considerations of gender, equity, disability, inclusion, and social equity, the GEDC framework. And related to that, we're going to talk about targeted universalism, which argues that we should set universal goals for an entire population, but then use targeted policies to help different groups achieve that goal. And finally, as I've already said, that we're really approaching this through the lens of a transformative learning experience. So we're going to actually change how we are as people and how we perceive and understand our world. It's exciting, I hope. And it is, of course, really important to acknowledge that throughout this, we're going to have a strong GEDC lens. We're going to think about designing solutions that, yes, they're not only innovative, but they also ensure equity and inclusion for all groups in society. And this real focus on equality is critically important in any kind of solution or creative innovation that we come up with. So we're going to talk through what we're going to do each week. We'll talk this through in our live session. And of course, you can look at our Padlet and you can see the outline, the activities and the roadmap. But just remember that pretty much in the first week, this is all online. We expect you to do some self-directed learning. We've got lots of activities that we'll walk you through. There'll be live lectures and drop-in sessions at around 10 or 11 a.m. every day. So you can drop in and get some support. And there's a lot of resources. So we expect you to watch those videos, and we're going to walk through a handbook that gives you some really targeted activities. Week 2 will be in person, which will be great in Manila. We kick off around 9-ish. If you arrive at 9, we'll kick off about 10, and there'll be often some pre-activities to do. And then, of course, week 3, you'll be able to watch. It's online again. You'll be able to watch all the modules about different things, from psychological safety to focusing in on facilitation techniques. If you're going to facilitate some design thinking modules, there's a lot of different extra knowledge that you will need as you take forward. And then, of course, from week 4, we're going to begin some coaching to help you lead design thinking initiatives in your workplace. Got a lot of learning resources and a lot of assignments and readings, but you're supported every step of the way by myself and my team. It's a collaborative learning journey where everybody shares some exploration, growth, and discovery. And so you're going to develop the skills and confidence to facilitate and lead your own design thinking projects, and critically, to teach others in your workplace to do the same. At the end of this activities, you are going to have the skills to be a design thinking change agent, and you're going to love this new identity. So I'm going to walk through each day and what you have to do. We'll walk through that in person, but you can look at the learning plan if you want to have a little bit of a sense of where we're going. Each module has a learning objective and talks through that, and there are activities and thought questions for you to do along the way as well, and we'll talk through that later today. One of the first activities you will do is to create a short video introducing yourself, talking about your role and the main design thinking challenge that you're facing in digital transformation. What's the main challenge? And they might have a couple of them, actually. There might be one inside your team and maybe one with end users, or there might be a big problem that you're facing. So just your first activity really is to create a short video introducing yourself, talking a little bit about your role and the big challenges that are facing you, and then uploading that to your Padlet so everybody can watch that and we can all get to know each other a little bit. And your second activity is to reflect on your positionality. Okay, who are you as a designer? Who's your team? What skills do you bring? How are you similar and different for the end users you're designing with and for? So just really to reflect on who you are and how that might influence how you might become the kind of design thinker that you might become. And we'll ask you to complete, and we'll walk through these in the Q&As, but we'll ask you to complete this positionality radar, and it's in your workbook. It talks about, what gender you are, if you're a parent, where you grew up, what your status in education is, what you're living, what you do for a living, your race and ethnicity, what languages you speak, and then ask you also to think about doing that for your team as well. And it gives you a sense for, how inclusive your team is and where you're similar and different. Okay, it helps you just reflect on these differences and how they might influence how you turn up in the world. And then, of course, we ask you to actually think about your design thinking identity. How confident are you with your ability to have empathy with the consumers and users you're designing with leading? How confident are you with leading an organizational change process? What about facilitating one of these workshops? What about your ability to visualize and prototype and develop design things? It's just so you get a sense of where you are at the beginning, and then we'll get you to do this again at the end and just see where and if there's any change. So that's it for now from me. I look forward to connecting with you soon in